Welcome back to the Arise News KPMG 2025 Budget Day. My, how time flies. We're here for a recap, key takeaways from everything, which will probably take another hour, everything we have discussed today. Good to see you again.
It's been quite a very interesting time with you, Tola, the CEO, kicking off those presentations. So having heard those presentations breakdown from the minister, of course, we had the Minister of Finance himself from Abuja, the healthcare sector, infrastructure, power, digital economy, manufacturing, tax, by the way. What's your takeaway?
Thank you. As I sit back and listen to everything, yes, I can't get away from the fact that a budget is just a plan. At the end of the day, you've got to execute on that plan. And that, for me, is one of the biggest points to emphasize here. In order to achieve the objectives that the government has laid out, and I think there was consensus that the direction of travel is right. But in order to get us to the destination, it's going to be so crucial to execute in a disciplined manner. And that's one of the big things that we need to see in this budget. Execution is key.
Mr. Niyi Yusuf, chair of the NESG, Nigerian Economic Summit Group. Great to have you here. You were here last year. Good to see you again. What's been your takeaway with everything that you've witnessed today?
All right. So, I agree with Tola. The direction of travel is progressive, is what we like to say. The planned investment in infrastructure, in health, in education, these are trillions of naira. In safety, that gives hope. Execution is important, but we're going to be executing in an environment that is very volatile. What is happening in geopolitics, whether it's done by the US or even local. So we're going to be executing in a very volatile environment. And so that means we need to double down, discipline ourselves, but also pay a bit more attention to the social safety net. So I'm happy with the education fund, the education loan. But also important that we accelerate that and also the social safety net and get from 15 million Nigerians to 50 million to 70 million Nigerians that will get some monthly targeted contributions or targeted money from the federal government. So execute, but also focus on providing the social safety net so that we can have some social cohesiveness and a safe environment for us to operate.
So much attention, Tola, on the federal government in terms of, and you spoke about this. Look, the federal government can do everything. And that panel on infrastructure talked about, look, you just have to align policies and reforms. We're rolling out reforms on a daily basis. State governments are also doing their own. How much more would you like to see in terms of how we align the subnationals with what is going on at the federal level? Because at the end of the day, jobs, agriculture, food, security, education, healthcare, primary, whatever, will have to happen at the state and local government levels.
You make a very important point there. The issue of collaboration and coordination is extremely important, and cooperation. In fact, I would first start with coordination even amongst the federal government agencies themselves. I think there's still room to improve that coordination so that we're seeing agencies all working in concert towards the stated objective. Then you get to the issue of coordination with the states and collaboration. The federal government can't do it by itself. And many of the things that we speak about that really touch the people, they're within the prerogative of the states. When you get down to education, healthcare, you're talking about things that are within the ambit of the states.
The last mile.
The last mile, exactly. So coordinating that, federal, state, local government, very, very important. We need to see that consistency of policy all happening there. The last aspect of this collaboration for me is the point that has been made severally, that government cannot do it on its own. There needs to be collaboration with the private sector. And there you get into the realm of how do you create space and create an environment in which the private sector is ready and willing and able to come in and collaborate with governments in execution.
Mr. Yusuf, I'm going to give you the last word. I have to say, you inspired me at one other summit where you talked about Nigeria's population, right? Mm-hmm. And how I carried that across all my business segments, right? And so with respect to dividing budgets by the number of people and then getting welfare, education, and so on, is that still a concern for you?
Oh, it's pretty much. It's still a concern. And if I may stress a few things. So for 2025 and 2026, the NESG has come up with 6 areas of focus, 3 critical areas, and then 3 additional areas. So the first 3 critical areas is investment climate, just having the right investment climate. Second is insecurity, and third is food sovereignty. Now the 3 additional, one of them is population. There's population, there's productivity, and we need to tame our population growth. I mean, our total fertility rate is above 4%. And so if we don't reduce that, productivity continues to be a challenge. Our budget is $33 billion.
36, yeah.
South Africa's budget is $129 billion. Right. And so that speaks to the other comment by Tola around we need private sector to be in. And that actually gives me hope that the states will do what they need to do, because states will begin to compete to attract private sector investment. And we're saying that in the Southeast, with Anambra, with Imo State, and Abia State, and how they're all angling to attract private sector investment. And so in trying to attract private sector investment, hopefully you will do a few things in your state to provide the right investment climate. And that, I think, is the carrot that will make a few states to do the right thing. We need to have more Lagos states. We need to have, in each geopolitical zone, we need to have 2, 3 that are where we would like to work and to stay. And so that gives me hope that the state will do the right thing. But on a long-term basis, we need to find ways to tame our fertility growth rate and also then increase productivity.
All right. I think...
Just 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And if you just allow me, Tola, you are our chief host. So what's your outlook at KPMG for this year on the budget? 1 minute.
I would say cautiously optimistic. That's how we would summarize it. I think we see the direction of travel is right. We're encouraged by the reforms, the plans that are within the budgets. We'd like to see, as I said earlier, execution taking place. We'd like to play our role in supporting that execution itself. Nigeria is on a turnaround plan, or as the budget describes it, a restoration plan. We've done several turnaround projects as professional consultants. Mm-hmm. The one thing I would say is that you never see a turnaround that is successful within an atmosphere of pessimism. So we've got to address the atmosphere as well, increase the element of trust between government and the citizens. And let's get Nigerians talking positively about our country. Because any turnaround, for it to be successful, you need a prevailing atmosphere of optimism, not pessimism. So that would be the other thing I would add to this.
Want positive vibes in the room. That's what I see here.
Yes. That's
what I see with your team. That's what I see with the minister.
We round off on positive vibes. So Tola, Adeyemi, thank you so much for a great presentation, and again for setting the stage for this discussion. Mr. Niyi, Yusuf, thank you so much for joining us as well. Our thanks to our Minister of Budget and Economic Planning. Our thanks to the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy. Our thanks to KPMG for bringing together the public sector, the private sector, and most of all, our thanks to you, our audience, for sticking with us and always tuning in for these special programs. That brings us to the end of the KPMG Arise News 2025 Budget Day. Boston, thank you as well.
Let's have our own handshake.
Yeah, thank you.
For the collaboration and cooperation between KPMG
and Arise
the Arise. Thank you so much. Let's do it again next year.
Yes,
absolutely.
Indeed.
Exactly. That's an I.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And regular program will return on Arise News.